Hello. La,
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 la, la.
la. Because we watched Season 9, Episode 2, The Voice. So, Katie.
Hi. Hi.
Are you high?
No.
You were laughing at this episode like you were high.
I'm sorry. I enjoyed it. I found it funny. I liked it.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that those two things seem to make sense this week.
What?
Well, I feel as though there's been a rash of episodes where you have laughed at many things, but been like, no, I didn't like this episode. So at least this one is, I laughed at this and it made sense and I liked it.
This is a graph of my feelings of this episode.
That tracks in my mind.
Right? It rises pretty steadily, and it kind of wavers a little bit, and it falls down, and then it goes back up.
It started to go down, and I was like, oh, there's still so much that is going to happen before this is over.
Yeah. They really blew their wad on this one.
Yeah. Like a giant rubber ball full of oil. Splat.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I mean, I knew what was coming, and I knew a lot of the jokes. So it was interesting to watch. And when that, like, I think the climax that came like midway through the episode probably came a little bit too early. So it was interesting to like.
What are you talking about? Like, what is the climax that you're talking about?
Probably the montage of Elaine and Putty getting back together a bunch of times, and then it started to go down.
Okay.
What do you think?
Just looking at my notes, I think I stopped paying attention when it became a lot more Kramer focused. Not surprising. When I wrote George is Chang.
Yeah.
That might have been the peak for me.
I did write Knockout Monkey Gas.
Yeah.
So the voice was written by Alec Berg, Jeff Schaefer, and David Mendel. It seems like a lot of the season 9 episodes were written a little bit by committee.
Yeah.
It was directed by Andy Ackerman, and it aired on October 2nd, 1997. Screen Crush ranked it as the 154th best episode.
I usually agree with Screen Crush. What's going on?
They said this was regular season 9 flair. Although the writer wrote, although I did walk around using the voice for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody did. I did, and I've never seen this before.
You used the voice before the episode started tonight. Vulture.com ranked it as the 38th best episode.
It might be a little high, but
right up there.
Yeah.
And IMDb had it at a kind of middling 83 or 83rd.
I think in the 50s.
Yeah. So I think surprisingly, IMDb had this as a worse ranked episode than the Butter Shave, and I would disagree with that. Watching them back to back, but I think in my mind I would have said, "Oh, the Butter Shave is funnier."
Why? Butter Shave's funnier?
Having like if like nostalgically thinking about them,
but the voice is the voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I think the Butter Shave is a more absurd thing, and like you remember what both of them are. But
yeah, that's probably why I like this better because it's just the joy in silliness. Jerry likes the voice, and it made me very happy to watch him enjoy doing the voice.
So, do you want to talk about the inspiration for the voice and everything? Or do you want to get into do you want to follow the thing, or do you want to just start talking?
Let's just go.
So this was a true a true thing that happened in the writer's room with Spike Ferenstein and his girlfriend.
It's always him.
He brings all of his real life into Seinfeld, except that instead of it being his girlfriend's stomach, it was her butt.
Of course.
And he just started doing it with the writers and everything. And then they were like, you need to write this into an episode. And so then they started writing the episode. And then he told her that, hey, I do this voice of your butt with my friends, and it's going to be a Seinfeld episode. And she got very mad. And so then Jerry was like, go back and apologize and write down everything that happens.
But wait, was he credited as a writer?
I think the writing room at this point was just like the writers all came up with like ideas and contributed to things.
Yeah.
years later, Jerry apparently so they didn't want to do the butt because they didn't want it to be like a dirty joke. And they thought what is funny about this is having a silly joke with your friends. That isn't really all that funny, but you keep doing bicycle tube.
Oh, two people are going to laugh so hard that you said that.
If one of them listens, you know who you are. So like, I think looking at it through that lens, that storyline works very well. And then like, you're doing it so much. One friend still loves it. The other ones are like, oh, come on, are we still doing this thing? Yeah. To come like right back around at the end to where like you're all doing it again. Like it was a very honest and true.
Yes, a very satisfying story.
Yeah, for sure.
And I liked George's story, and I liked Elaine's story, and I started to like Kramer's story, and then I think it just got too much. Before we do the things we're supposed to do you think Kramer's intern Darren looks like a Bobo Luigi Mangione?
I mean, I think Luigi Mangione is probably more attractive, so he's a Bobo. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, sure. I can see that a little bit. They both have like thin faces with high cheekbones and kind of tight curly hair.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about the assassin?
What about the assassin?
Yeah.
What about the assassin?
Is it Luigi Mangione? Did he shave his unibrow and then grow it back?
No, because that's what he looked like 27 years ago.
I'm not talking about Darren anymore.
Oh, you're talking about... Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the conspiracy theory that Luigi Mangione isn't actually the person that killed...
Yeah.
What
do you think?
I don't think that is true, and I think Luigi Mangione killed the...
But what about the unibrow?
People can pluck, I don't know.
But it came back. It wasn't there, and it came back. It's not like he plucked it.
I don't know enough about this. It's whatever.
Oh, thanks for playing ball with me here. Who are the guest stars?
Darren was played by Luigi Mangione. The whole, like, I think there was a bunch, like, this person traveled to New York and they were in the hostel, and then they had like 3 very similar looking jackets and 2 very similar looking backpacks. But I think Luigi Mangione was one of those 3 people and he killed it. But then there was other pictures of other people that were circulated that didn't look like him or weren't him.
Do you think he started the lookalike contest?
No. Do you think he started the lookalike contest?
I mean, he sort of did a mini one in your estimation. Why not make it an internet sensation?
I don't think he did the mini one. I think a mini one happened.
You think just spontaneously 3 people who looked alike, dressed alike, and one of them murdered somebody?
I think it was a white guy wearing a green jacket who had a backpack. Like, you can't swing a dead cat in New York without hitting some yuppie white guy with a green jacket and a backpack.
That looks exactly the same.
There's 10 million people in New York. They all look the same. It's all some white guy.
So you're saying all white guys look the same?
I mean,
wow, Derek.
If Paul Kinsey murdered someone, do you think I should like be worried and like maybe figure out where I was at the time? I think so.
Mad Men actor Paul Kinsey?
Yeah. My doppelganger.
See, you would have to like. You don't look like him now.
He is a good 5 inches taller than I am.
Well, nobody knows that. I didn't know that. But you looked like him when you shaved your head.
Uh-huh.
You haven't done that in 15 years.
He also hasn't done that in 15 years.
Yeah, so you no longer look alike.
I think we still look alike. I can show you pictures where I fooled people who know me. I fooled people who have known me for years.
Oh, okay. The one where he's like holding a drink out. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it does really look like you. Mm-hmm. That's not you?
That is not me.
Okay.
As far as I remember.
Who are the guest stars?
So we had returning guest stars Patrick Warburton playing Putty and Gordon Jump, who we found out the character's name of Mr. Tomasulo. He was in the previous episode as George's boss at Plano. However, we had a few new faces. We had Ella Joyce, who played Dean Jones. She was in A Simple Promise, Lucky Girl, and Temptations, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor.
Oh, she looked familiar, but I've not seen those things.
She also, there was a picture of her on IMDb where I was like, I've seen this person, but I couldn't figure out from the things that she had been in what I would have seen.
Interesting.
Sarah Patterson, who played Claire.
Mm-hmm.
She was basically in like one episode of a whole bunch of shows, but nothing really more than that. So she was in an episode of Boston Common, an episode of The Sentinel, an episode of Charmed, and an episode of Friends.
She's like a one and done looking person.
Yeah.
No offense.
I mean, after you get splattered with a giant ball of oil, your options are limited. And then we had Jarrad Paul. Jarrad. Jarrad. How do you say that name?
Jared.
Jarrad.
It's a stupid way to write it.
Jarrad. Jarrad Paul, who played Darren. He was an actor in a couple of things. He was in Monk. He was in a couple of episodes of Home Improvement. He was in Action, which was a fantastic television show starring Jay Moore.
Oh, that's the one you wrote an essay about.
I wrote a spec script for when I was as an English project. And then we filmed it, and the teacher was like, this is so good, I'm going to show it to every other class because nobody did it as good as you did.
Wait, is the premise of this show, remind me, is it like The Studio?
Yeah, except he's an agent instead of a
studio head.
A studio head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But he was the creator of the TV show The Grinder with Rob Lowe. Do you remember that?
Is this about a gay dating app?
No. He was that also a TV exec, or was he a lawyer or something? We watched a couple of episodes of it. Anyways.
We did?
We did. It was recommended by Dan O'Toole.
I have no memory of this.
Well, we recently were looking for something to watch on Netflix, and we started watching something, and the first scene we both realized that we'd watched the entire series.
Yes. Like, this is familiar, and then we go to look at episodes and more, and they're all like 28 of 29 minutes watched.
And then he also wrote the script for the movie Yes Man, starring Jim Carrey.
Wow.
Which, I don't know if you know this, but it was based off a book by Danny Wallace.
So not his idea.
So Danny Wallace wrote a book called Yes Man, where he took a year of his life, and if he was presented with a yes or no question, he had to answer yes. Mm-hmm. And it was everything from like, do you want to go on a trip with me this weekend to France, to would you like to drop some acid right now? And he documented that experience of his life. And then they took it and they turned it into this movie where Jim Carrey magically has to say yes to stuff.
I've not seen it.
Anyways, when I was in Thailand, when I was meeting new people, often people ask, like, oh, where are you from? And what do you do back home? I always ask everyone, what is your favorite book?
Are these the same people who called you Cameron for several weeks?
Any person that I met and was making like small talk with. Yeah. Because getting into like, what is your favorite book? I think it's a better reflection of who the person is. And they get like very excited about like, why is it your favorite mm-hmm. book? And it's like, it was a book from childhood, or was, something from, school that you really resonated with you. And it becomes a much more interesting conversation than, oh, back home I work in a box factory and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So this woman told me about Yes Man, mm-hmm. and I was like, this is a really good idea. And so then somebody was like, oh, I'm going to get a tattoo. Do you want to come with me? And I said, yes. And they said, oh, do you want to get a tattoo as well? And I said, yes.
Which one is that?
It's the one on my shoulder blade.
Oh.
And so it was an idea for a tattoo that I'd already had, but mm-hmm. I would not have gone to get it if this person didn't ask me.
So
and
what
I had been like incepted to say yes to binary questions.
So what happened?
What happened to who?
You. You always say no to everything.
I don't say no to everything.
Always say no to everything.
What are you talking? You have a cat.
Yes, every time I said, let's get a cat, you said no. And then you just went and got a cat. That's different.
I don't say no to everything.
You're saying no right now.
At work, I'm the guy who is known for saying no to stuff.
Exactly.
No,
Let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remembered this episode.
Hello! La, la, la.
Well, let me finally read the synopsis. So I laughed when I read this first sentence, Jerry gives his girlfriend's stomach a funny voice. Because I'd heard the voice most of my life. I didn't know that it was a stomach. I just assumed it was, they met someone who spoke this way and then started mocking them.
I think one of my favorite parts of the episode is when Jerry is sitting in the booth at the coffee shop and he puts his index fingers and thumbs together and he makes a little mouth and he kind of holds it in front of his belly.
Kramer hires an intern. Elaine reunites with Putty. George refuses to leave his job. We don't like you. We want you to leave.
George, you're not handicapped. I've had my difficulties.
So we both worked in the public service. Can you imagine if, as a supervisor or a manager, you could just say, we don't like you. We want you to leave.
I mean, now that I've worked in the public sector, it's...
You mean private sector?
Sorry, yes. Now that I've left the public sector and work in the private sector, you can do that.
It's not nice.
it's not, but I mean, and it costs money, but it's like, okay, we're going to pay you and please go away. Yeah.
I like in the coffee shop when Elaine comes in and everyone says, hello. She goes, what is this? What are you making fun of me? He's like, no. It's just a thing we're doing. It's stupid. She goes, well, I'm sure it's stupid.
You laughed really hard when Elaine said, like, oh, I broke up with Putty. And Jerry said, and yet he continues to live.
I wrote that down. It is funny. I think the theme of season 9 is starting to be that Jerry's always going to have a good story. And everybody else is kind of needs something to
crazy. Jerry is the rod that tethers this television show to like reality, and everybody else is acting crazy around him.
And I feel like in some seasons he didn't have much to do. He was just reacting to stuff and also there.
Sure, yeah. He's even Steven. So this episode actually was originally called The Backslide. And it was like more focused on Elaine and Putty. And then they also at one point referred to it as the bladder system.
I'm glad they went with the voice. Do you think Spike Fernstein's girlfriend and Claire have a right to be offended that their boyfriends are doing a voice of their bodies?
Yes, but like
they're not mocking her.
They're not mocking her, and like I think if so, in a way, just because it was a bit of it was almost like a non sequitur. Like why does her stomach talk? Like people's stomachs don't talk. So why do you like if there was a scene about like
it made gurgling at
night?
That's what I thought.
But like they never alluded to that. Nope. So are you like I assume that's what it is, and it kind of makes sense. But like
I assume it's not, and Jerry was just bored and he made this up and it made him laugh.
I think if they had done that, it would have just like kind of like tied together and made it cleaner, because like you could kind of consider like obviously Sarah Peterson is not fat in any way. No. She's a very petite woman, it seems like. So because it's unclear, you're kind of like,
why not make it a gurgle?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that was kind of weird.
They just wanted to write in a Kool-Aid joke.
It's mostly water weight.
That's your Jerry?
He was kind of screaming. Do you know how much time I waste in this apartment every week?
I could ballpark it.
Such a good line.
Jerry has one hair sticking straight forward from his poofy comb back. It's very long. It's like 4 inches long, sticking directly forward, and like the studio lights are catching it in one scene. It was very distracting.
Well, at his age, it's
those grays, they have a mind of their own.
I was going to say it's hard to keep it up for 30 minutes.
Jerry's examining Elaine. First he notices that she's wearing the same shoes, and that's wild because women's shoes are like, well, she's wearing the black heels. She wore black heels yesterday.
My God, something's afoot.
Literally. And then
why? So, not that. Why didn't Elaine just go home immediately? Doesn't this seem weird that she would like?
Yeah.
She spent the night like. Obviously, it was not her plan to spend the night with Putty.
Yep.
And she wakes up and she's like, "Well, better go over to Jerry's."
I have a feeling that Elaine lives far away. It's part of a plot point with like
I gotta
spare
go.
keys and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Jerry's apartment is more central to everything. Your hair, it's somewhat depoofed.
Not that her hair was poofy in the coffee shop before.
Well, this season it's considerably less poofy than before.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you about, because you in the past have talked about how you kind of hate this kind of stuff. How did you feel about Elaine's voiceover thought about the gloves?
I didn't mind it. I was writing something down during that scene, so I wasn't really watching, but she doesn't, like, Jerry's done it a few times. I don't think she's ever done it. I feel like it's a bit lazy, where, you know, if you live alone, you talk you're not silent from the moment you step in your home. You're like, where are my gloves? Right? Goes, by the phone. And then I feel like, I don't know, do we need her internal monologue about that?
I think it was probably too much, too many things to say it out loud. Like, I think you could have said, like, gloves? Oh, they're by the phone. Like that, but then to go, I should call Dave Buddy. No, I shouldn't. Oh, I left my gloves there. I'll just call him quickly.
How funny would it be if she did that scene and there was no sound? And we just see her looking at the phone and turning back away. We're smart enough to make that. Maybe. And if not, then we see him at her place and he's like, so the gloves were here the whole time, eh? Right by the phone?
Maybe. But then, like, I think the punchline to that scene is, you know who loves funny stories? David Puddy. Like, I think that's a good punchline, but I don't know how you mechanically do it without a voiceover.
Elaine has indoor pansies on the table behind
her. What a
her.
wild woman.
Well, I had to look up whether you could do that. Is that allowed?
The garden police will come and get you.
So apparently you can grow pansies inside. They need like 8 hours of sunlight, but they have to be in a cool place. Oh. So if they're in a sunny window, it's not going to be cool. So I don't know how you do it.
It's a stage.
Yes. And also the picture on the table behind her was like really prominently, it was like a framed photo of a woman. And I looked it up and someone on Reddit pointed out that it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus's real mom. Oh. Judith Bowles, which made me think that she was dead, but she's still alive. Okay. Yeah. Did you know the blonde waitress at Monk's is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's half-sister?
Oh, I didn't.
I didn't write her name down.
Okay.
But she's been in a bunch of other things with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
It seems like when you get popular enough, like, I know they've done it in, like, It's Always Sunny. They had all their spouses in, like, episodes, and, like, you just can have your family do cameos.
When you create something, you get to decide who you do it with. Right?
Yes.
There's really crazy lamps in the Play Now guy's office.
The Play Now interior shots are weird. Like, I don't know if you remember the previous episode, the staircase that they had. It was like a wooden staircase. It was strange.
This is the leftover parts set. Yeah. But these lamps are like pure 90s. They're like the solo jazz cup of lamps. They're huge glass, like
it was the 90s.
I know, but they're so ugly. They reminded me, like, if you took those smelly markers and you took the purple one and the hot pink one and the yellow one and you melted them into a lamp.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, what part of that do you have a problem with?
Melting the smelly markers together to make a lamp. That's what I have a problem with.
Do you know what smelly markers I'm talking about?
I do know what smelly markers you're talking about.
Okay, you took those 3 colors. Yeah?
It would be brown.
No. You're not coloring with them. You're physically taking the markers and you're melting the plastic and shaping it into a 3-legged lamp. I'll see you in hell, Costanza.
I think this is a shrewd move by Mr. Tomasulo to, like, hit George where it hurts, right?
With the bathroom?
Like, yeah. It's open to all Play Now employees and their families. I like the absurdness of, like, we're gonna smoke you out. Yeah. I don't really know whether or not, like, from a legal standpoint, George is like, I don't have to do any work. I just have to show up and they can't not pay me. Like, if you're a contract worker, I don't know how things work in the States. It's different, but.
Any contract lawyers out there, get in touch. But he's fired because he misrepresented himself. But they didn't hire him solely because they thought he was handicapped.
I think George has a good case. He's like, at no point did I say I was handicapped.
Exactly.
And you just did a whole bunch of stuff for me.
Right. So, but when he stops doing any work, I feel like then a new situation presents itself where he's underperforming and they fire him for that.
Can't you just, isn't the States like, they have no employment protection? You just like fire people for any reason whatsoever and they never come back?
I
don't know.
He's basically saying, George is saying, I just won't leave. I'll just keep showing up.
I don't think it's like a nuclear submarine where both the employee and the employer need to turn their keys to end the job. I think if at any point either one of them is like, this is over, it's done. It's like a breakup.
And then there's a backslide.
True. Oh, maybe that George just never gave up, like Lane and Putty's love. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the black backslide?
I've never experienced it.
I never have either, but I definitely...
That's not true. I just remembered that that's not true.
Okay.
But I was thinking of times where I'd been broken up with and I was sad and was hoping to get back together. That never happened. But I was dating someone, we broke up, and then he wanted to get back together. And I was like, I don't really want to. But got convinced. And it was a bad idea. So I should have stuck to my guns.
There you go. I definitely have like seen other couples where they were on again, off again, on again, off again. Like probably, mostly university, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I there weren't a lot of couples. Like I know a few. Some are still married. But mostly people just dated and then didn't. And then there were just other people around. Fun times.
Oh, one thing that I wanted to look up was all of those stupid mayo chup.
Yes. Ketchup and mustard in the same bottle.
Yeah. Do you remember, I don't know what brand it is. I'm sure we talked about it before, but the peanut butter and jam in the same jar?
That's so gross.
It looks aesthetically pleasing with that like swirl and whatever.
Yeah. But you know who does it right? The Japanese, with those packets that you break.
2 different packets and you get it all over everything. Yeah. What don't the Japanese do right?
They got better toilets, that's for sure. We see the tall toilet in George's bathroom. It's a regular toilet with a thing on top.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to admit when I was wrong. It has been confirmed that your parents' house has a tall toilet.
Had a tall toilet. It's
gone?
They've re-renovated the bathroom.
But they've gotten older.
The tall toilet had a, the U valve or whatever it is, like on the toilet. So you could see the U valve shape in it. And my mom didn't like it because it was difficult to clean. So they got a new toilet that had a skirt. So it's like fewer surface, so you can clean it more easily.
But they don't make tall toilets with a...
I don't know. Well, I don't know. So it was the previous... I assume this new toilet is also tall. That has a skirt. Full length ankle skirt. The previous toilet was definitely a tall toilet. This toilet, which we'll find out in a couple of days. Yeah. Whether or not it is a tall toilet. We'll bring our measuring tape. We'll sit on it a couple of times.
Well, I maintain the other one wasn't tall. It wasn't that tall.
It was definitely taller. When you sat down on it, your knees were at less than a 90 degree. You're perched up there like a gargoyle.
Another, many thousands of dollars thing that I want is a Japanese toilet.
Yeah, I thought we were doing that this summer.
Okay. How many?
One? Yeah.
Where? Here?
Yeah.
Down here?
Yeah.
Near the podcasting studio?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the cat's bathroom.
Which other toilet do you want to replace?
It needs power, so it can't be the toilet next to our bedroom because there's no outlet in the toilet area.
We can have an outlet installed.
That seems like a bridge too far. I didn't write anything else. I wrote very few notes except Jerry smoking a cigar in his apartment and laughing.
You liked that, that montage. You asked me 20 years ago if I would one day solve the world's energy crisis. I wouldn't have believed you. Now let's put this giant ball of oil out the window.
There was a sign on that window before they open it, and the writing was reversed. So it was as if...
Sign on the outside?
Yes. Mm. And I was trying to read it. I might go back in and pause it for corrections. But the first word is definitely bomb.
Yakers.
So I'm gonna find out what that says.
The only other line that I liked, and maybe we should clip for today's day and age, was I'm getting a little uncomfortable with the Hitler stuff.
Yeah. And on that note, let's do some corrections. So last week we talked about, you brought up the roast where Norm Macdonald was telling terrible dad jokes.
I brought that up at work today.
He was roasting Bob Saget.
Oh, awesome.
Loyal listener Tom weighed in on the turkey leg hats.
Oh yeah, he sent that to me too.
Purely decorative, no purpose whatsoever. What I read was that they were specifically designed and used to encourage women to carve meat because they thought women wouldn't want to look at the gross bones. Oh. So they put little funny hats on the bones.
Loyal listener Tom told me that he found the name of them in a Jacques Pepin cookbook, and they were called papillotes.
You said a freeze dryer was $8,000. It's about $4,000.
Oh, well, that's a big difference. I was looking at the deluxe model.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was researching this, and I found a homesteading blog that tracks. They were given one to review, so they didn't pay for it. They liked it so much they bought another one because they had to process all the food that they were growing and the 8,000 pounds of corn they had every summer or whatever. There was an article on this blog called Freeze-Dried Water. Can it work?
I don't think so.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Would it surprise you that these people also drink raw milk?
Not really.
So there was many articles about raw milk. I fell down this rabbit hole. They cited an article that didn't address raw milk safety as proof that raw milk is safe. I read the article. And another that explicitly said that it is a health risk, which they cited as proof that raw milk is safe.
Mm-hmm. They cited their sources, though.
Yeah, they didn't expect anyone to click on them. They said one cow gives them 6 gallons of milk a day.
That's interesting. So when I was on the dairy farm, we had a whole machine that you vacuum.
It was all put together.
The milk teats.
But I'm sure you could figure out how much.
Yeah, I mean, you just divide how much you get by the number of cows you sucked it out of.
I don't like that. So I mean, they made yogurt, they made kefir, they freeze dried milk and stored the powder and stuff. Yada yada. Have you ever heard of clabbered milk?
I have not heard of clabbered milk.
So you are a yogurt maker.
Yeah. Prolific one.
I don't like that either. So apparently clabbered milk is milk that you just leave out.
Oh, okay.
And it goes bad.
Uh-huh.
And then you eat it.
So that's essentially the same thing as sour cream.
Yeah, so I read a lot about clabbered milk. Apparently, you have to keep tasting it to find out, still good, still good, still good. Well, now it's bad, but you've already tasted it. Mm-hmm. And then you can, add some of the bad stuff into, new milk, and then it dilutes the rottedness, and then you're, back to square one with your clabber.
You always want to be back at square one with your clabber.
Also, clabber just sounds like a gross word.
Can you clabber anything else? Can you only clabber milk?
I think it's a milk-specific term.
Yeah.
So you were right.
Yeah, always.
Holland is a region. Uh-huh. Informally used inside and outside the country to refer to the whole country. I was right about that part. That even inside the country, people refer to it as Holland. But the country was officially rebranded in 2019.
I'm up to date on my current events.
I won't even read the rest of this.
I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just saying I am.
Why do they wear orange so much, Derek? It's not on their flag.
Because the solidarity with the Protestants of Ireland.
We also talked about the Planet of the Apes.
Uh-huh.
You were right. Charlton Heston was only in the first two.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to read you the titles of Planet of the Apes movies? Mm-hmm. So, 1968, Planet of the Apes. 1970, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. 1971, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. 1972, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. 1973, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Then there was a live-action TV series in 1974. Then there was an animated series in 1975. Then they gave it a rest. Mm-hmm. And then 2001, Planet of the Apes. Mm-hmm. And then 2011, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. 2014, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. 2017, War for the Planet of the Apes. 2024, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And hopefully that is the end.
It's a lot of monkey movies.
This whole series has grossed $2 billion worldwide. From a budget of like several hundred million, like not much. Because they just put people in bad monkey suits and...
Originally, and then it was all CGI, right? Yeah.
So the author of the book it's based on also wrote Bridge Over the River Kwai. The original UK title of the movie was Monkey Planet.
Why?
I don't know. It's so funny to me.
Like, I understand when like it gets translated into a different language and they call it something, but like for the most part, the UK speaks English.
The book was whatever it was in French. There was an English book called The Planet of the Apes, and they're like, no, Monkey Planet.
I love Charlton Heston and Monkey Planet.
And did you know that Charlton Heston was uncredited as the voice of Dr. Zaius in the 2001 movie?
Sorry, who?
Charlton Heston.
Was the voice of Dr. Zaius?
Yeah.
He's talking to himself?
Apparently.
Interesting.
That's all. Next week we have The Serenity Now.
Serenity Now, Serenity Now. George gets a new gig. He's selling computers out of his dad's garage.
Can't wait. Well, bye.
Bye-bye. Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?